Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I'd like to say excuse me. I know I look rough. I am at work right now on break, so excuse me for that. And also, happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there, especially you other women who are in the service, mom figures and role models. Happy Mother's Day to you all. I thought today would be the perfect day to finally go ahead and talk about my miscarriage story. As you can see from the title, it's a story that I've been wanting to share for a while now and just never really had the courage to bring it up and talk about it. And today I thought was perfect to finally go ahead and share my story. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So about 3 years ago, I got engaged to my husband, and without even really thinking about anything at that point in time, I found out a few days later that I was pregnant. And what's funny is my husband is actually the one who called it and thought I might be pregnant when I wasn't feeling well. So let's just go back to that day. How I found out I was pregnant. I got up one morning and I got ready to sit up in the bed to get up out of bed that day, and as I was trying to sit up, there was a sharp pain in my stomach and I couldn't figure out what it was, but it was so painful that every time I tried to sit up, I just wanted to lay back down because I didn't know what was going on. It was a pain that I've never felt before. I've never experienced, and I didn't know what it was. And at that moment, as I'm thinking about everything that could possibly be going on, it was brought to the forefront that I hadn't had my period yet this month. And my period is usually on a regular schedule, so I knew that it was late. And my husband went to the store. He offered to go to the store for me and get me a pregnancy test. And I took it without even really thinking anything of it, still kind of just being in denial and not thinking anything about a pregnancy. I took the test, and at that time I was using the clear blue week estimators. I know they don't sell those anymore, but they had those at the time, so I wanted to know kind of an estimate of how far along I was. So I did end up getting that one, and I took the test, and the test said 1 to 2 weeks pregnant. And I was in total shock, total disbelief, just baffled. Just never thought that I'd be pregnant. I was so in love with my husband, or my fiance, and we had just been living life carelessly, not thinking about consequences of our actions. And not to say that it was a bad decision or I made a mistake or anything like that. It's just that I had so much going on at that time. I wasn't even thinking about getting pregnant or trying to get pregnant, and I definitely didn't do it on purpose. But the moment that I found out, I was so excited. Being a mom is something that I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to be, and I just couldn't wait. I was one of those kids growing up who just kind of fantasized about getting married one day, having kids, having a huge family, holidays, parties, all those things. I was one of those little girls. So when I did find out I was pregnant, I was ecstatic. I went to my first appointment, and I had an ultrasound, and at that time it was just a little bitty bean that you could see in my uterus on the monitor. And I continued to get seen by my provider and monitored for about 5 or 6 weeks. And once I got to week 6, I woke up one morning to go let my dogs out, and it was about 4 or 5 in the morning, and I came back in the house and I had to go to the restroom. I went to the restroom, and TMI, I pulled down my underwear and I was bleeding. I had blood in my underwear, and I was bleeding as I was on the toilet. It was just like my cycle had came. I was just bleeding. So I freaked out. I knew what that meant. I was crying. I couldn't even talk. I was just so hysterical. I screamed for my husband's name, and I called the nearest emergency room. They told me that I should come in. So I had my husband call my mom for me, and she met us there, and we went to the hospital. The hospital was the most traumatic experience I had, and it was traumatic because I felt like the doctors and nurses there didn't even care. They put me in the triage room and they examined me, and then they put me back into my own room, and they left me there. They put an IV in my arm and they left me in the room. They came in there, would do stuff, and wouldn't even say what was going on or what was finna happen. They just left me there. 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes went by before somebody finally came in and actually spoke to us and told us that they were going to do an emergency ultrasound. They wheeled me into another room where they were going to do the emergency ultrasound, and they would not let my husband come in the room. So I was crying. He was upset. It was just so many things going on. It was a mess. They did the emergency ultrasound, and also, sorry to jump around, but also I was so early that when I would have ultrasounds, they would have to do them vaginally. It wasn't able to be done where they put the gel on my stomach and did it over my stomach. I had to have them vaginally. So imagine going through all that and then still having to get an ultrasound done at that time. Well, they did an ultrasound anyway, and when they showed me the monitor, there was nothing there. The little bean that was once there, that was the baby, was gone. They said that all they could see was like blood and stuff. So they said that more than likely it was a threatening miscarriage, but to follow up with my doctor in 3 days to confirm. So I went home, and I was really just shaken up by everything. I was upset, I was angry, I was mad. I really didn't know how to feel, but all I did was lay in the bed and not really talk. I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to go anywhere, I didn't want to talk to anybody. All I wanted to do was lay in my bed all day. I really just felt like I was going into a depression because I felt like I didn't deserve this. I felt like it wasn't fair. I felt like, how could God put me through this? How could He give me this amazing thing and then just take it away from me? And I really just didn't care about anything at that time. My husband tried his best to talk to me, and I shut him out. I didn't want to even talk to him. I didn't even care about anything that was going on around me. He kind of just took things into his own hands and kind of just forced me to snap back into reality, which I'm so grateful for. He took me to a family member's house, someone who could actually get through to me, and kind of just let me know that we were going to make it through this. And I really also am so appreciative of him and my mom as well, because she was there throughout the whole hospital experience. She held my hand through it all, and she was so supportive. But following after that, I could not get these images out of my head. I couldn't get the memories out of my head. Everything was just so stuck in the forefront of my mind. It was just very, very, very traumatizing for me. I went to my provider 3 days later, like the emergency room suggested, and she did an ultrasound as well, and they did confirm that it was a miscarriage. They said that nothing was wrong with me. All tests came back normal and regular, that the baby just probably would not have survived, or the baby would have been sick or not been healthy like it should have been. So it was my body's natural way of dealing with it. Even though it's common, and I found out that almost every woman goes through a miscarriage in their lifetime, it still doesn't make it any better. It still doesn't make you feel any better. It doesn't comfort you in any way to know that. It just lets you know that there are so many other women who suffer and go through this just like you, and that you will someday be able to, have some type of healing from it, or be able to accept it. I have just kind of been very jealous of other people ever since it's happened, because days like today come around, Mother's Day, and you see, other moms being celebrated. But we also have to take the time to recognize the women who have carried, because just because your baby is no longer here, or your baby didn't make it to full term, or you never got to hold your baby, that does not mean you're any less of a mother than one who physically has one here. You carried a child for however long, and that still makes you a mother. That's really about it, though. I just want to say to all you moms who may be going through the same thing or have went through a miscarriage, just know that you are loved. God loves you. You will make it through this, and just keep praying, and God will get you through it. But again, sorry to kind of give you all those sad feelings, or to evoke any emotions out of anybody else. I just wanted to share my story and get it out there. So happy Mother's Day, you guys. Enjoy your day. See you next time.